You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous.
Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
born wild.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and today is a very special episode. We're releasing right around Father's Day, and I have with me a panel of experts. Let's see, there's 6 of you. I have a bunch of dads with me with very different experiences, but all of them had at least one home birth. And we wanted to just kind of talk about what the typical hesitations are for partners. And what your guys' experiences are. My husband was going to join, but he couldn't get his mic to work. He used to be an IT guy, so I'll give him crap later. But it's you guys. Thank you for showing up. And Chris, why don't you introduce yourself first?
So hello, everybody. I'm Chris Garcia. We had a home birth. Let's see. Last September 30th was the actual date. He was actually born. Was a surprise, so we didn't know what we were having. And it was in our house right there and on the toilet just about. And did the old tried to do the pool, in our room, and I did that for a few hours, and then we ended up moving onto the toilet, and then within maybe 10, 15 minutes, here he came, splat. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
There he is. And then it was a very beautiful experience. And it was actually our second child. Our first one was Valentina. We had a girl, and she was actually we had to do a C-section, so we did went to the hospital, did the whole, she tried to do it home, she tried to do naturally, and just didn't work out. And so, of course, the doctors kind of get into her head, and she kind of just gave up. And we know she's here, she's healthy, and but yeah, she's doing good. But my wife always wanted to have an actual home birth, a natural birth. And so we did our research and we found Born Wild, and my wife did some research on them and just heard good things about them. And so our second child was a home birth, about maybe 6 years apart, but he's nice and healthy, and he's thriving, and he likes to break things. So just about he's thrown. He's not my princess who I had before. A different ball game. And so
we joke about the toilet. We're like, it's the get her done place,
It makes sense. You gotta, yeah.
Yeah. Patrick, what about you? Will you introduce yourself?
Patrick Gretsch. We've had 2 home births. My oldest daughter, I have a stepson, and then 5 girls. My oldest daughter was born in the hospital. My second 2 were born in the birthing center, and then my last 2 were born at home, one in the living room and one in our bedroom. Mm-hmm. And at home was definitely by far the best place to do it compared to all the other ones. I highly recommend it to everyone I know. I'm like, you should just do it at home, like figure it out.
Yeah, and you got to catch both your girls.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Definitely a different experience than all the other places. Mm-hmm. My wife likes to do it standing up, so I just sit there and catch them.
I think I remember with not this last one, but the one before, you were like, it wasn't until hours later when I was washing the blood off my hands that I realized I had caught the baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah. And this last one too, you were like, this one was really slippery. The last one was sticky.
Yeah, it was. This one was way slipperier than the first one. First one was like sticky. This one felt like the whites of an egg.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. What about you, Will? Will you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is William McAuliffe, and my my wife found Sophia, and we had an excellent experience with her. To back it up, I had my first child, who is now 7, at a midwifery, so it was more of like a, if we needed it, instruments were there in case, things went south. Catty corner to the midwifery was a hospital. Um, you know, I had watched, I went to a bunch of classes with my wife before we had our first child. And during those classes, we learned about the business of being born and kind of just like what the hospitals are like, and, learning that that's not what we wanted to do. And so we found the midwifery, and it was a really nice situation in the sense of there's only 4 bedrooms in the facility, and we were the only people there. But when we actually, this was in Denver, and we moved to California, and Sophia helped us with our second child, which is 3 years ago now. And my wife was like, let's just do this at home. And, of course, we've been so programmed to think that, you need all these medical resources and, this intervening of sorts. And my wife is she's so gangster. Honestly, she's just like, we're going to do this at home. She's like, I'm done with this, like, and I'm, of course I'm following suit. I'm respecting her decision. It's her body. I'm there for the support. I'm there to be helpful. But ultimately, it was up to her. Yes, us as a couple, but more so, it's her. So insert Sophia, and Sophia was just so calm and so soothing and so, just understanding of every situation, in our meetups prior to actual birth. That, the night that my youngest was born, labor was going on. My wife went for a walk, and I'm texting Sophia. We're in Sebastopol and she's in Forestville, and I wasn't really hearing back because of just the service. So like, she got back to me within like 30 minutes, and she's like, do you need me to come down there? Do you think it's happening tonight? And I'm like, yeah, I think I need you to come. And like, she showed up probably 15 minutes or so before the baby was born. And my other son, my wife kind of just planned this all out, and literally happened the way that she said it was going to happen. She was like, I want to have this baby while Miles, my oldest at the time, was 4. I want to have this baby while Miles is sleeping, and then he can wake up to the baby. And at the time, we weren't sure if it was a girl or a boy or what to expect. I thought it was going to be a boy. Everyone else thought it was going to be a girl. And sure enough, that night, Sophia shows up. My wife, we're in the bathroom with just a salt lamp on. I mean, literally, I couldn't see anything. And I'm kind of towards the shower, and Sophia walks in, and she's like, and I kind of do one of these, like, do you want to switch with me hand gestures? And she's like, no. She's like, the baby's almost here. Everything's great. And then like literally the baby came, and it was as magical and as easy as my wife kind of manifested it to be. And my son woke up at like, 4 a.m, and we were like, your brother's here. And he's like, brother? Like, I thought it was a good girl. But, of course, we were happy with a healthy baby. So it was fun. And it was also, it was really an amazing experience to just not have to deal with, big lights or people up in your business. It's nice to just kind of be a family having this experience with some expertise to guide you, knowing and encourage you that you're doing the right thing,
Yeah, I have that in my memory too. There were a couple times where you were kind of like,
yeah, it's like doing one of these.
You don't need to switch.
Well, I'm just like, what, I just, what if, is going through my head, like what if the cord's wrapped around the neck, or what if this is going to happen and you just need to be there. But at the same time, you were just reaffirming me that what's happening is happening, and it's this is going on. So it was nice to have the comfort and also the expertise to guide us through it all,
Thank you.
So.
Bryan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Bryan Island. My wife and I used you guys twice. We've got a little girl, Remy, who's 2.5, and we've got a 6-month-old, Levy. And yeah, so we did IVF. I don't know if anybody else here did IVF. But yeah, we did IVF, and I think that's some of the reasons she wanted to go with you guys. She wanted to have some control over it, and um, it's funny because she works at the hospital, so you think, I mean, we would have been able to do it for free.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. So I'm glad we went through you guys, and it was a great experience. And you guys really, I think we had Leah at first, and then we had you. So we got to experience both. And
It was one of those long labors where we like tag teamed each other.
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. It was the first one. It's all a blur. Yeah, the first one was really long. It was like what? It was like 30 something hours or something, right?
Because Leah was like, nothing's wrong. I don't want them to transfer. Nothing's wrong. But she's like, I can't think straight anymore. And so we tagged out so that you guys would have fresh energy and ideas. And
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it was great. Yeah, that worked out great. And I don't know how long after she was born, but and then Levy, I don't remember how many hours, but yeah, that one was a lot quicker.
much quicker. Those second babies.
Yeah, yeah, that one was a lot better. And but, I mean, they were both great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she had a long pushing stage with her first. If my memory is right, it was about 12 hours. But she was like, is there anything wrong? We're like, no. She's like, I do not want to go to the hospital. And we are like, okay.
Yeah.
Keep going then. And she totally persevered and had that baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good because I mean, I don't know when hospitals will transfer you to C-section, but I think they do it pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then she would
Before
have.
12 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. You would have got C-section both times.
In
Yeah.
and out. Yeah.
We're very happy that we chose you guys, and yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Jake. What about you? Will you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. My name is Jake Yoneda. I have my wife and I have one babies born at home. The Sophia made quite a trek down to Monterey County, where we're based.
Nice.
The timing worked out well. There was nothing really pressing until considerably after she got there. But it was very comfortable and very low stress for me. And I'm also told that my wife was happy with it as well. I mean, following on what I think Will was talking about a little bit, I mean, this was the first one, and she's about 6 months old, the baby. So this was the first time I thought it through, and I went through this thought process not too long ago. So maybe it'll be helpful to hear that kind of fresh analysis I did. And obviously, to get to where we are, either mom or dad or both has to have the initial impetus to like break the mold on having a baby, right? Like you go to the hospital as the default assumption. So my wife raised it to me, and I think I also, I know enough about things to have concerns with hospitals and the American health insurance model and a lot of things. So I was willing to hear her out and think about it. And I think the process I kind of thought of was, most births don't have a quote unquote problem. And most problems are either addressable by midwives or you can get somewhere you need emergency services in time when you live most places. And so, of course, what you as a new dad are concerned about is that sliver of a sliver of a sliver of the situations in which your worry is something will be going on and you won't be able to make it where you need to go, and that time makes the difference from already being in a hospital. And then weighed against that is the problems in a hospital that you won't have to deal with at all if you're at home. And then tilting the scale is the fact that this is what your wife prefers and what has come from her research and what's going to be the most comfortable for her. And so that's, that was certainly enough if I wasn't already leading that way. I just sort of put some trust in her, and, she's fairly smart as well. So I followed that guidance and it worked out very well. And we're planning to do the next one more or less the same way.
Thank you. Yeah. Also born in front of the toilet.
That's right. Although I missed my mark and she caught her own baby because she was more on the ball than me.
Toilet babies unite.
Yeah.
Andy, last one. Introduce yourself.
My name is Andrew Serena. I've experienced literally all of it. We had the first two were C-section in the hospital. Second two were natural birth, and the last two were home birth. And had to do it again, I would choose home birth over everything, because it completely empowers you as a parent to control that aspect of life. And not only in the comfort of your home, which is just in itself is just amazing, because for one, your wives feel completely safe and comfortable, and you can make it whatever they want it to be, because like you said, they're in control of it. We're just kind of bystanders here for support and to rally and to help them get through it. So I think it's really amazing, just the process of home birth. My current wife, Anna, who we have 3 girls, so I have the Brady Bunch. I brought 3 boys with me into the family, and then had 3 girls with Anna. So her first one was in the hospital. They induced, and she went through some things on that end of it, where she wasn't totally comfortable being in the hospital to begin with, but she was at ease because we had 2 factors going for it. She had a good support team that she had in place. We had a doula who has been there through the last all 3 of our babies, even with Sophia, worked with in conjunction with Sophia to be there at the home births as well. So we had a good support team in the hospital, and she was able to deliver in the hospital by herself an 11-pound baby. So with even all the doctors freaking out, she stayed focused. And I think, as all of us husbands, being there for our wives, it's hard to really isolate them from all that stress. But she remained focused on me, which I think is important as being the dad in the situation. You have to stay focused and have their attention, and let them know that it's going to be okay no matter what. And she was able to, like I said, she delivered an 11-pound baby that was shoulder dystocia.
Yeah.
So she was stuck. And after that pregnancy, she was really nervous about doing a second pregnancy in a hospital, just because of what she learned. And a lot of that was, she did the research on home birth. And we had actually met you, Sophia, on our original, as interviewed you for a doula position, I think. And that's where we met. Sophia was on on George's birth. And then, after, that, we got pregnant again, and she was like, I don't want to go back to the hospital. I want to do do you remember Sophia? And I'm like, yeah, I remember Sophia. And she says, well, she's a midwife now, and I want to do a home birth. And I was like, let's do it. And I was like, why not? I mean, I've run the gamut of all the things in a hospital. Let's do something fun now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was like, as all you guys know, it's like it's completely different to watch your baby actually be born.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a hospital situation, you don't have that opportunity. The doctor's in the way. You barely even get to, and as far as C-section, you're in a little window, and then they hold the baby up and you're like, oh yeah, that's great.
Bye. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my wife has to go through all this pain and suffering for the next 4 days or 5 days just to get better so she can go home. Whereas when she was at home, she was like up and moving around within an hour or two. That wasn't our case, Sophia, but I mean, to be able to do what she did even at home was truly amazing to watch. And I think that's the thing that I got out of it most was it's just to watch life happen in front of you in full view, and you're actually in part of that. You're actually catching your child, or you're um, watching them swim around in the water. And I think the last one we had, Sophia, I think Josie had the cord wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
She had a cord wrapped around her, and she was 10 pounds, so she was another big baby. But again, I mean, it's just Mama was relaxed, and everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. So it's truly a blessing to watch the home birth happen. So yeah.
And I remember she was being told by Kaiser, we were already planning a home birth, and she was being told, like, absolutely not. Like, we think you should just sign up for a C-section. Your last baby was so big. That was like, I think the midwife at the hospital told her that was the top 5 scariest births of my career. And we were trying to sign her up for a C-section. She was just like, I just feel like I could do this at home. And she, had no issues. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Thank you everyone for sharing. A couple things I wanted to check in about is like the top things that we get asked about or dads are hesitant about is usually it's like a safety aspect is one of the big things. Like how safe is this? What if we need help? What if there are complications or an emergency? The other piece is like cleanup. Like she just gave birth. Like, is this gonna be messy? Like, what do I have to do? And then the other piece is like finances, it's like you were saying, Bryan, like, wait, we could just have this covered, like so like that is a big piece of it all. And then the other thing that I'd love to hear about is especially dads who have had both home and not home is like how you were alluding to, Andy, being like a participant in the birth experience versus a bystander. And then also anything anyone has to say about siblings at birth. Those are kind of the main things I hear come up over and over again, about like being a participant in the birth. How are the older kids going to be? How expensive is it? Is it safe? How messy is it? So would anyone like to chime in about any of those topics?
I will.
All right, go for it.
Well, the difference was I remember my first daughter was in the hospital, and that was the worst, most terrifying experience I ever had in my life. The nurse we had was afraid of needles and was every time she gave my wife an injection, she would leave the room and throw up. She couldn't, yeah, we were in the overflow area, so we didn't even have our own private room. The doctor showed up like right before my wife was about to give birth, and they had given her an epidural and like pumped her full of drugs, which they say like doesn't affect the baby. And after seeing a natural birth compared to what happens after an epidural and whatever drugs they give them for pain is it's really scary. Like, doctor told my wife, he was like, "Oh, you're not there. You're not there yet." And she's like, "No, this baby's coming." And he like lifted up the sheet, and I was definitely a bystander, just like hanging out, like, "You're doing great," like hanging there. And then he was like, "Oh, it is coming in," like threw his sweatshirt off and like caught the baby and then set her on my wife, and she was completely blue and not breathing. And he was like, "Oh, she's fine. She's tired. She's fine." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, and my wife's freaking out, like, "Why isn't she crying?" And then I had to be like, "Why is she turning blue? Like, what's going on?" And then they swooped her up and ran out the door and didn't tell any of us what was happening. And I remember my wife was just bawling. I'm like freaking out. I was a new dad, had no idea what I was doing. And I'm like trying to comfort my wife while she's freaking out. And like, luckily, we heard her start crying and we were like, "Oh, thank God," you know? And, but it was a horrible experience. And after that, it was like, we wanted to stay as far away from a hospital as possible. And it's like, we did, I think what most fathers should do is their own research on, like, think about before hospitals and Western medicine was a thing. Like, most, look how many people there were in the world and how many people didn't go to a hospital and had a kid, you know? So it's like, what's the difference now? And it was so fear mongering every time we went to like an ultrasound or anything. If their dates were off, which they usually were, they were like, "Oh, your child's heart's too big and they're gonna die," or whatever. And my wife would leave them like the appointment just like crying and in fear of like, "Oh no, our baby's not going to come out all right," you know? And it was like, man, this is horrible. Like, I don't even know why we do this anymore. And she was the one that came up with the home birth. And I was like nervous at first because I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this sounds really scary. But then after doing it, it was like the most relaxing thing. We were never pushed to do or not do anything we didn't want to. And like, we were not financially sound, and you definitely worked with us to like make it as comfortable as possible for both parties, which was super helpful. And like, we were all able to pay and everything worked out, but like at the time we didn't know how we were going to pay for it, and you worked out a payment plan with us that worked perfectly. You know, like,
Yeah.
and then as far as like siblings, my kids were so stoked this last time, but they all passed out before the baby came. They were like, "We can't wait. Like, we're staying up all night." And then they all fell asleep on the couch waiting. And because she was born at like 1:29 in the morning. But then the next morning, they're all really excited that they had a new baby sister. And my 2-year-old, because my baby's only like a month old right now. We just had her. And my 2-year-old is like, "I want to hold that baby." Give me that baby. And it's really cute and funny to watch. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like, look into it. You know, if you're a new dad and you're sketched out about like this safety aspect, because I think that was my biggest fear also, until it's like, man, look at history and humankind as a thing. And like, women are a crazy like miracle as it is. And it's, I feel like this is like God's gift and the most natural thing. So why go to a hospital and pump it full of unnatural things? Because that's what they pushed on us every time. And luckily, my wife's like the strongest woman I've ever met, and is like, "Nope, I'm not doing any of those things." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, don't we need to?" You know? And then I realized, like, by doing my own research, like a lot of that stuff is very unhealthy and unnecessary. And like, I think Kinley's, when you had me sit down, you were like, here, it's a chair, like to catch her. And I was like, oh man, what am I doing? Her cord was wrapped around her neck, and you just unwrapped it and handed her back to me, and she was fine. And it's like, people freak out. Like, in my experience, the doctor makes these minimal problems like life or death when it really isn't that. And they don't give you enough information to make an educated choice on, like, do I need this medication or this or that, or if the cords wrapped around their neck, or if they're breached, or whatever the case is. It's like, once I started learning more about it, I was like, yeah, we don't need any of that. And it was always a pleasure. And the cleanup, that was my favorite part. You guys would come and like clean my house and like dishes. And I was like, this is great. Like, we just get to hang out with the baby, and like, they took care of everything. That was awesome, so
Yeah, you brought up something that made me remember something else. A lot of times, if like you've already had babies in the hospital, say, and it didn't go super smooth and it was complicated and scary, you either leave with the idea that like birth is scary and like thank God we were in the hospital, because what would have happened if we hadn't been, or this actually happened because we were in the hospital and this maybe wouldn't have happened. Because some partners are at odds about that, where the mom feels like, I don't think this would have happened if I hadn't been here, but the dad's like, the hospital saved their life,
right.
versus like
Exactly.
causing the problem and then fixing the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my experience, and the hospital was terrifying. And I mean, none of my kids really go to the hospital anymore at all. Like, we figure it out on our own, like, unless they like break their arm or need a surgery. Otherwise, they don't do checkups or any of that stuff. But that's our personal view, like,
Yeah. Anyone else?
Sure. What I touched on earlier was that I think taking the classes with my first son in Denver, when we were in Denver, to have him at the midwifery, because they required that, was very helpful, kind of understanding some of those hurdles, and then in those classes they made us watch the business of being born, and again, I think that really is an eye-opener. I'm from the East Coast, now living in California, and all of my friends, even in Denver, are like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have a baby that not in the hospital. And you're like, well, do you, like, I feel the opposite. I feel the exact opposite. Oh my God, you're gonna have a baby in the hospital.
right.
So I
You're
feel like
so brave.
yeah, I feel like that's a good starting point, is maybe watching that if you are trying to do your own research, or have these fears in your head, because that's really all it is they create these fears to then, like you said, solve. So yes, does once in a blue moon things go wrong? Yes, but like you touched on, Patrick, people have been born forever, right? So what did we do?
The business of being born, we call it the gateway documentary,
Yeah, but again, like with my first son, like I'm also thinking, like, okay, so we're gonna go into this, let's get a little bit more educated on what we're doing here. Of course, they required that, and then I even, looking back on the midwifery, they were more like midwives. Looking back on it, they weren't really even midwives. Like they gave my son, they were like, do you want to give him vitamin K? He has this circle on top of his head, and like we were being taken advantage of, because we weren't really well versed in the whole. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But what are they giving him, and why are they going to give him this, and does he really need this, and do we have time to decide, and those kind of things. And obviously transitioning to the next child, while we're not going anywhere, we never did a sonogram. Sophia was telling us our baby's healthy. That was enough for us to move forward with everything. And then obviously my wife's input on how we're going to handle the situation is really what happened. It's like, we don't want to be under these bright lights with random people in the room, and we don't want, like all of that really starts to make sense when you break it down. You're like, wait a minute, you don't need any of that, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And like you're talking to about like
you are safe. You know, you have a midwife with you. If something was going to happen, she can help you. That's why she's there. You know, if you're going to have it without a midwife, then you know, that's up to you as well. But having a midwife is very, you know, comforting, and the expertise is there, you know.
Yeah. And like I feel like it all starts prenatally too, because like you were referencing like feeling educated on the topic, not feeling pressured, because every family will make different choices for their kid.
Yeah.
And to feel like all the choices are welcome and that they feel really educated and they know.
And even touching on what she said, Patrick, about, you know, not going to the doctors, like my youngest son Reed, who Sophia helped deliver, you know, he's never went to a sonogram. He's never been anywhere. And he's 3, and he's the happiest baby ever. And my oldest, you know, he's 7. You know, we went to his 2-month checkup, and then we've never been back.
Right.
It is what it is, and it is how you can find, you know, your own path. Absolutely. But I think that when you learn the system, and this can ripple out however you want to take it. But, you know, I think once you figure it out that you don't need it, you know, that it's fine, you know, unless you break an arm or you cut your, you know, you need surgery or one of these things, right?
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So you know, and I feel like getting educated on, you know, the business of being born is the starter to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It puts like the power back in your guys' hands, where
It's
you're
like, wait a minute, all this really happens, and this is how, you know, like, oh, they want you to have a C-section, and of course when you have a C-section, they say we saved your child, and you leave the hospital thankful, but like, you know, however the mother and however the father digest that in the future, whether it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years, looking back on it, be like, wait a minute, where we had, and we were so, you know, not, like, we were so innocent that we didn't even understand what was happening to us, that we thanked them for it. Right. So it's a crazy business.
The other thing is, real quick, is the recovery time is way different after having a home birth than it was in the hospital. Like, my wife would be like up within a week, not feeling so messed up or whatever, and like, wow, I feel so good because like you guys did such a good job of like giving her tinctures or whatever after to help like build her immune back and to help her to stop bleeding and whatever, that she was like, man, I feel great after this birth, where the other ones, it was like it would take like a month before she started wanting to get out of bed or whatever. So that was a huge plus about it also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just finding someone who's aligned to help you through the process, I think, is very important.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Oh, so yes, having the 4 babies in the hospital. The 2 first ones were C-sections. So I don't know financially if you ever looked at the statement from the insurance company on what the hospital cost for a C-section. And you know, your portion, you know, we had a, what was it, a copay, right? So on those insurances, our copay was $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you looked at the price tag breakdown of what the insurance paid out was $27,000, you start going, yeah, a home birth really isn't that expensive. I mean, if you were to cover, if I had to cover what those C-sections cost, that would have literally put me in, you know, bankruptcy area. So, you know, I mean, and it's like hospitals have their place, but again, I don't think it's in the birth industry. It's they push too much. Again, you know, the drugs and the aftercare are completely non-existent necessarily in the home birth, because it's all natural supplements that they are given to help recover. as you know, as if you were in the hospital. I know my first wife with the C-sections, she was given at least 4 different pain pills to take at home for the first month. So, you know, she was groggy, sleepy, not really coherent most of the time, in a lot of pain, didn't spend much time with the baby other than feeding because she was miserable. So, you know, and then with the home births, even with Anna, with the first, you know, Georgia was born in the hospital. She was given a lot of pain meds too, which she was on for a little while and then was off of them almost as fast as she could get them over it because she was just like, I don't need them, you know. But you know, that's their first thing is, well, we'll write you a prescription for the pain.
Right.
Your prescription for the pain. And I think that's more detrimental to their health and well-being because, you know, that's not natural. And as far as cleanup, my goodness, it's like, so we did the tub and, you know, a tub, when you fill it with water to fit, there's a lot of remnants that are in that water. You know, and, you know, but you know, Sophia, they have a pump, and we just put the hose out the window and pumped it right outside. So, you know, I mean, and cleanup, it's in a hospital, there's still cleanup, right? There's birth's a messy thing. It's just naturally messy. And you know, it's one thing to just cover it up and make it kind of disappear, but it's another thing when it's all over your living room or on your floor and on towels and stuff that you know you use on a daily basis, and you know everything washes out. You clean it, soak it, and wash it out. I mean, it's it's part of life, you know. And you know, I work on a farm, so you know we experience that all the time. So you know, if you are hesitant and a little queasy when it comes to the sight of blood, you know, put your blinders on or something when you're cleaning up. But it's just part of life.
My husband would say,
you were there one time. If you're a living human being, you were there at one point. You were that one on that end.
yeah, everyone was born.
So, you know, it's part of life. And but the financial thing, and if you, especially with you, Sophia, you guys, you know, whatever payment works for you guys, you know. If you want to do 3 or 4 payments, if we need to extend this out, you guys are completely honest and open about if you really want this to happen, we can make it happen for you. And I think that's really important for people to understand that it's like, it's not that expensive. It really is. And just for the, I mean, if you go to Disneyland, you're going to pay almost that for Disney. Why not?
Okay, I'm seeing a new tagline, like cheaper than Disneyland.
Yeah. So, you know, I appreciated it. I mean, it's one of those things that it's like, it's memorable. It's not scary. It's memorable moments because you're in that moment and you're living it as it's happening. And I think that's really important to know that it's like you're just as much as a father involved in that home birth, and not just the support on the side of a table or chair or whatever they're in at the hospital. So, you know, it's totally worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and looking at this panel of experts, I know at least like 4 of you, there were a little bit unusual circumstances too. Like I know Chris, we had to breathe for your son for a little bit, and he was able to come around. We didn't have to go anywhere. And then Andy with Anna, there was some like a little bit of shock from her blood loss that we were able to resolve at home and not have to go anywhere. And Jake, I laugh whenever I think of your wife, like she had a big bleed. She was a little symptomatic, so we laid her down and she's like washing the blood off of the shower wall herself. Like, and we were like trying to take care of her and she's like cleaning her shower. It's just like even when things like happen, it doesn't have to mean that, it's dangerous or we have to go in. And like with your wife, Bryan, like pushing for a long time, there's just like things that somebody could make a really big deal out of, or we could just like resolve it and then move on.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because that's another piece too, is like that it doesn't have to go perfect to still be safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like you learn a lot too. You teach us along the way, how strong the woman's body is, and the tools that God gives them, and just you learn the whole time. So I felt like I wasn't as scared. I was like, you guys knew what you were doing, so you guys felt us, kept us, just reassuring, and just felt us just fine, and just the energy was good, and I literally thought I was gonna pass out because I told my wife, "Oh, my blood, I don't do good," and then suddenly she has a baby, and we dang near had the placenta on the bed, and she was teaching us about the placenta, showing signs of, if the baby swallowed, was it the what was it?
Meconium.
Meconium, yeah, and it was just really cool, just learning more and more. I'm like, wow, and just yeah, it was just a beautiful experience. Yeah, I have to recommend it.
Anyone else want to touch on any of those points?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the price point, yeah, like I said, we could have done it for free with Kaiser because my wife works there. But I mean, she wanted to go with you guys, and I mean, when she first told me, um, obviously I'm like everyone else. I'm like, we should do it at the hospital. Uh, so then once I kind of started, she started telling me about it, and I met you guys, and the more and more it just made sense, and I'm just happy that we did it, and it was, like you guys said, it's now a good memory, not like we went to the hospital and they scared us, and yeah, it was good, and as far as cleanup goes, I mean. Yeah, you guys did most of the cleanup, and uh, most of it I think, I don't know if both of them were. I think my boy was born in the tub. I don't know. Do you remember if Remy was born in the tub?
No, on the bed. Yeah.
Oh, in the bed. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, yeah. But I mean, even that, we just got some sheets and we just tossed them afterwards, you know? And and then I was in the tub with her, and for a lot of the time. And yeah, it's messy, but it's in the water. You guys just drain the water and yeah, and then take the liner and throw the liner away.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, the cleanup wasn't bad at all. And yeah, what was some of the other points you were asking?
I mean, some of them were about like your participation and involvement and feeling like you got to be a part of the process and siblings at birth. I know your daughter like didn't stay for the birth, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I like the participation. Yeah. I mean, I felt like I was a part of it. And it's funny because my grandpa told me that he was at work when his son was born. So he wasn't even allowed there. So I
Mhm.
mean, how much it's changed, and I'm glad I was there, and I'm glad I'm as involved as I am. And uh they're coming through. You want to come say hi? Just for a second.
Hi! Oh my gosh, you're getting so big.
Huge. You remember? Remember Sophia?
Hi. Your hair's gotten
Hi,
longer.
Sophia.
That's one
Anyway.
of the sweet things too, is like, getting kids involved prenatally and postpartum too, like siblings getting to like press the button and listen to their baby's, heartbeat and yeah, like not even just birth, but just like all the visits. It feels like you're like creating a family birth experience. Yeah, as much as possible, like keeping the family unit together and making it be like part of the experience. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll say maybe what I would be interested to hear if I hadn't had one yet.
Yeah.
In terms of cost, it's obviously going to vary based on your situation, you and your wife's insurance situation. My wife was I think, a public employee at the time, but what I can say is my understanding is that most situations the damage will be in the same order of magnitude as if you had an insurance copay. I mean, those aren't a hospital copay because those are never cheap. And of course, you can look into it, you can submit it to your insurance, and if you get a denial, you can appeal it. It doesn't end there. And I would look into how to do that if you're interested. We're, I think, in the process of appealing our denial. I have the benefit of I actually have filed a handful of coverage disputes. So if they really piss me off, I'll bring the small claims or something. Not everyone's a lawyer, but you can, talk to a lawyer or something.
You'll leave your number in
Yeah, of
chat.
course, on my card.
Yeah.
No, I think everyone else has said it's doable and there's a solution, but I guess I also want to say, it's comparable. And when my wife told me what it was going to be, even before, setting aside the insurance appeal, my thought and what I said to instant was, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. That's not as bad as I was worried about. So maybe that's encouraging. Cleanup was great. The midwife team did most of it, and I kind of wanted to help more because I felt like I hadn't done anything before that the whole time. But they told me to just hang out with the baby, so that was nice. I guess I have maybe a little different perspective on the participation thing. I think that's going to be guided a fair amount by kind of what your wife prefers. And from my perspective, my wife and the midwife team were really steering the ship, and I was just kind of there if she needed anything. I was physically in close proximity to my wife during the whole kind of 2 straight days. But I was reading a novel and I was playing video games a little bit, and she honestly, and I was always checking, do you need anything? But she didn't, and they were making the calls. And that was totally fine with me. And I was there, when the baby actually came out. It was interesting what Bryan was saying about his grandparents. The idea of men outside the birthing space does not necessarily offend me if that's what the woman wants. I appreciated being there. I was glad to be there, but I also would not have been offended if she kind of wanted some space. Um, and a midwife team or maybe female relatives or friends, someone else there to support her. That's fine with me too. And maybe there's some wisdom in those older ways that again doesn't bother me. So did I miss anything?
Yeah, just that there's like room for nuance between like what does each family want and need. And yeah, sometimes, women want to be more alone and sometimes they want the circle of women around them and or the intimacy of a partner. And yeah, it's just like being able to give her whatever she's needing in that moment. And sometimes it changes throughout labor too. Yeah. Like they want more privacy at first, and then when she starts pushing, she's like, I need my people. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, I think the other thing, it wouldn't really make sense for you because it's about siblings. So not
Oh,
yet.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see, Georgia, on that note, was, again, there was another gentleman we just happened to have it in the middle of the early morning. So it happened both times where both of our girls were, on the last one, were asleep and they got to wake up the baby. So I think that was probably really exciting for them because it was like, oh yeah, because mom was never even let them know that it was happening. So
It's really common that it happens at night, and a lot of times siblings just sleep through it.
What else was cool is that every time you came over, my kids got to participate in like helping hear the heartbeat or get like a lesson on like how the placenta works or like whatever was going on at the time. And it was funny because my stepson that's almost 15 was like so interested and like wanted to know all the different things, and we're like, man, he's gonna know more about birth than most women by the time it gets time to him. But I think one thing I wanted to say that someone told me before my first daughter, and I'm so glad they did, was to be prepared for is watching the person you love in that much pain and feeling so helpless. Like me, my wife knows, like, I don't really like being around until the baby comes, like, because I feel super helpless and like there's nothing I can do. So I'm usually like hanging out in the other room because she has you guys or her sister or whatever. And like she just understands. I'm like, I don't like hearing you in that much pain. And there's literally nothing I can do. But like, be like, hang in there, champ. Like you got it. Like you're doing great. Because I feel super helpless. And I think that if someone didn't tell me that before, like, I don't know if I would have been able to handle it as well. Because it's like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. And it's hard to watch. But then once you go through with it, it's like the most amazing experience. And it's crazy to watch them like bounce back after. And like my wife is crazy because right after she's like, yeah, we could like definitely have another one. And I was like, you literally just had this baby,
This last baby, the first thing she said is someone taking photos? And we're like, we got you covered. We got you covered. Don't worry. First words out of her mouth. Like, you're getting this, right? Like,
right.
Got it. We got you. Yeah, totally. And sometimes too, like it can help to change the perspective of it because I remember I was at this birth. At some point, the mom was in the water and just started bawling. And the dad kind of looked at me like, oh God. And, I don't remember what we said or referenced, but we're like, kind of like, it's okay. And then later I mentioned that moment to her. I was like, that seemed like a challenging moment for you. She's like, oh no, I was just thinking like that I am working so hard to have this baby. I think everybody should see how hard I'm working. There would be no death in the world. How could you kill someone if you saw how hard women worked to give like it was this like way bigger thought than like my back hurts or I'm in pain. It's just like if everyone could witness this, there would be no death like killing on earth. It was like this big epiphany she had, and that was where the tears came from. Had little to do with her contractions. There's just like so much more to it. The experience is so big, Yeah. And like having the mentality of like there's nothing to fix, but I want to fix it, but there's nothing to fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I know we're at our hour. Are there any like last things that you felt like you wanted to get out to all the partners listening right now?
Do a home birth.
Do a home birth.
That's it. It's amazing.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for being willing to take some time out of your evening and go back to your babies now.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day,
Bye-bye.
All right.
Everybody.
Thanks, Sophia. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA.
Sophia at sophiabirth.com.
And me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always,
Stay wild.